episode of Newysports TV. Happy Australia Day to you all. Filming this on Monday night, but tomorrow is of course Australia Day, and we've got a special Australia Day episode here on Newysports TV. We're going to be taking a look at several things. We're going to start on a bit of a sour note. If I'm going to be completely honest, the Newcastle Jets yesterday, of course, everyone knows this website, this show deals mostly with the new FM First Division, but there's no excusing that the Jets are our team, they're our club here in Newcastle. There may be some Mariners fans watching this. There's similar problems down there, but at least they got Luis Garcia to sort of take the icing, not the icing, but sort of cover up some of the mistakes from the other night. It was a pretty poor performance from the Mariners, and it was nothing compared to the Jets. The Jets were diabolical. I think there's no real other way to describe it. 6-1. I'll give you a moment to take that in. 6-1 on your home stadium in front of 9,000 fans, and credit to them. Credit to the fans. They don't give up. This team has been below average for the better part of half dozen years now, and it doesn't seem to be getting any better. 10 points, 7 or 10 points out of the finals now. I don't know which one of those it is, but a loss to Adelaide next week, I think that'll be the end of the finals for the Jets this year, which is just a disappointment. And last week's win against Wellington was, it seemed like we'd turned a corner, but 1-0 up against Perth, I was thinking, hey, this is what we wanted. This is the Jets of old, they're back. Trufanovic has scored. He stayed on side, then he scored. I think we've got to say something about that. And then it all fell apart. 1 goal, 2 goals, Bogart's red card, which was one of the poorer challenges that I've seen. One of the stupider red cards I've seen at a Jets game since last week. Ben Kanarowski. The Jets, they can't do this, and it's the same problem with the Mariners. Nick Montgomery the other night, that was a poor tackle. Okay, there's no hiding that. And for Nigel Bogart to get sent off in stoppage time of first half, it's simply not good enough. And this isn't singling out Nigel. He's a decent centre back, and I was really happy when the club signed him. But there's just got to be more brains, I guess, in that situation. You're on a yellow card. You're going to tackle someone who's off the ball on the counter attack. It's just not smart football, and there's no covering that. I think with Nigel being sent off, it's still 6-1. He's not going to single-handedly stop 4 goals. So across the park, it was a pretty horrendous effort, and it's not good enough. That's all you can say. This show deals with the new FM First Division amateur players who have jobs on the side, still in school, whatever. These guys get paid to play football. They train, they work, they eat football, if that's even a thing. They are professionals, and that was not a professional effort. End of story. FFA Cup is on. It is on next month, around this time next month, over 2 days, and then of course round 2 the next week. It's a bit of controversy today with the Lake Macquarie facility being named as the venue again. I'm not going to comment. I'm not really in a position to comment. I think the clubs have commented. Well, not the clubs, but the players. A lot of people saying this isn't good enough from the federation. Apparently his own league were told that the games were going to be spread around, but I for one like having all the games in one area. It helps me to cover them all, but I think the synthetic turf is it's a controversial point. You either like it or you don't, and I guess I'm impartial to it. I haven't played on that synthetic turf, but I think if there's any more injuries this year, then I think the Federation might have to have a rethink about next year's FFA Cup and even the later rounds this year. But anyway, that's not the point. The point is the football, and the football I think is going to be good in this year's FFA Cup. I'm just going to quickly get up the draw on the Newysports website, well, not the website, but on the Facebook page. It will be on the website in the next coming days, but yeah, some good games. Round 1, kicking off at 9 AM with Garden Suburb and Katara South, Zone Premier League against Zone League 1. It's a derby, you know, you can't go wrong. Straight after that, Maryland Fletcher versus Wallsend. It's another derby. Dudley versus Muswellbrook is the furthest thing from a derby, so that's where it ends. But some good games, you know, some good chances for the Zone League teams to be seen, you know, well, not to be seen, but they're playing on the same field as the top teams, you know. I'm going to be covering the games with Newysports and maybe get some coach interviews, player interviews, a couple photos and stuff of some of the Zone League teams. I'm sure that that'd be very well liked, I guess, by the teams and the clubs, the teams and the players in those competitions. I will have a bit of a preview show with some tips and whatnot, but you know, looking at that first day, you know, Wallsend against Maryland Fletcher, that's a tough test for the newly renamed Bulldogs, formerly Plattsburgh, Maryland, of course. They're up against Wallsend, they're up against the defending champions in UFM League. It's going to be tough. Bulwarra Lawn make their debut in the FFA Cup against Mayfield United senior team. Again, that's going to be, I think, a one-sided game. Hamilton Azuri versus Barnsley is one to watch. This Azuri team last year, controversially, the majority of their team, a lot of their team played in the all-age H grade competition last year, which I happened to play in, and we happened to lose to that team twice. And next thing you know, they're in the Zone League, so that's not too legit, is it? But Hamilton Azuri is a very big club, and I think that they really should have been in the Zone League, and now they are, and they've got their own Facebook page. They're doing really well. Saw Anthony Mundine commented on one of their videos, sent his praise for the club, you know, some likes. That helps. And Hamilton Azuri, a big, strong background there, the Italian background, proud footballers, and I think they're going to ace it in Zone League 3, to be honest with you. Another intriguing match, RAF Base Williamtown versus Hunter Simba. That day ends at the Macquarie facility with Fortin versus Edgeworth Junior Soccer Club being the Zone League 3 team. It could get ugly. I think Fortin, I haven't really heard much of them. They drew last week. We'll be talking about that in a sec, about their draw with Cooks Hill, but Fortin should be beating the Zone League 3 team. Raymond Terrace versus West Lakes. This is a chance for Raymond Terrace to prove themselves as a real football side. You know, they're in the Zone Premier League now. They should beat West Lakes with all due respect to the Wildcats. Raymond Terrace, a very good side, and interesting enough, if they go through, they will play Stockton or West Wallsend. Raymond Terrace versus West Wallsend, it's not a game that's all said and done. I think the Terrace can really make a push if they're full strength, if they're the same team from last year. You never quite know in Cup football. All new FM games, South Cardiff versus Cessnock. I think Southie should win that. I think that they're going to be strong this season. If they don't win that, then obviously maybe you start thinking maybe they will finish mid-table, or we'll have to wait to see. Lake Macquarie, in the final game of the day, Lake Macquarie City versus Cardiff City. It should be going just the one way, but Cardiff, again, one of those top zone teams, you never quite know. Day 2, Cooks Hill versus Dudley. I'm going to get a move on here. No one wants to see a 45-minute video. Cooks Hill versus Dudley. It's a tough game to call, isn't it? It's not quite easy for Cooks Hill there. Dudley are a physical team. They're a strong team in Zone Premier League. They could very well knock the Cookers out, but Cooks Hill, full strength, should win. Should be beating Madawi or Mayfield Juniors in the second round. I think Cooks Hill, and trust me to say this because I play for them, but I think Cooks Hill can make it to the third round this year. Stockton versus West Wallsend, that's going to be a classic, isn't it? Similar game to that Jasmine West Wallsend game last year. Let's hope for that. For Westie's sake, I think they should get through. You'd want to hope they get through after what happened last year, getting all the way to the end, but we'll have to wait and see. Beresfield versus Toronto. Danger game for Toronto. Beresfield, a very good club in Zone League, and at the moment, I think they're having a trial match this weekend, those two teams. At the moment, I'm going to tip Beresfield to go through. Then that shows the connection. The gap between Zone League and New FM is not really that much. Beresfield, I think they're only not in New FM because of their field, which their field, well, it's not good enough to be in New FM at the moment. A few upgrades, a few little changes here and there, they might be in New FM in a couple of years, if New FM's still around, not the NPL 2 or whatever it is. Anyway, Warners Bay versus Morisset Zone League 1 Grand Final rematch. This is a chance for Warners Bay to get some revenge on Morisset. It is a derby of sorts, sort of that lake area derby. It's going to be a fiercely contested game there. Medowie versus Mayfield Juniors. Chance for Medowie to prove themselves. Mayfield Juniors last year 17-0. They were featured on, I don't know what show on Fox Sports, but one of the Fox Sports shows featured them losing 17-0 to Dudley. It was there. It wasn't a very good result, and let's hope the Tigers can do a bit better this year. Cahaiba versus the Newcastle Suns. Danger game again. The Suns, very good Zone League team. Of course, affiliated with Broadmeadow Magic, the Macedonian background there. Passionate football club over there at Connolly Park at Carrington. I can't see them knocking out Cahaiba, but they probably will go very close. You know, these games, they're not completely one-sided. Merriweather versus Kurri, that's a Zone League 2 game. I'm not going to admit that I know too much about either of those teams. Based on last year, I think it's going to be a tough one to call. Maybe Kurri can get that one. This one, I think, with all due respect to Charlestown United Juniors, the Hammers, I think Singleton should be beating them. New FM side against the Zone League 1 team. It's Singleton's game to lose, and they had a very, very good performance last time they went out to Macquarie Field, beating Lakes twice last year. May I add, twice. Swansea versus Bell Swans. No one wearing green and yellow, green and gold. No one wanted to see that. Bell Swans need no reminding. Last year, 1-0. Swansea knocking them out of the FFA Cup. It's a derby. It's Bell Swans who should be winning, but it's not easy to call. It's another strong Zone Premier League team, and we'll have to wait and see. So yeah, Newysports, I'll be there. Be covering most of those games. A lot of interviews, a lot of photos, hopefully, and hopefully a good 2 days for all the clubs involved out there at Lake Macquarie. I don't know how long this video is going. I have the camera turned the other way, so I can't check the timing, but we'll quickly go through some trials for this weekend. I don't know if these are all confirmed. I think they are, but this time of the year sometimes things aren't. There may be more trials than this, but Saturday I'll be out at West Wallsend Johnston Park for West Wallsend and Cessnock City. A chance to see both those teams in action. I really just hoping and praying that it doesn't rain and get called off again. False start for 2 weeks. I want to see some football. There were some trials midweek that I'm going to talk about. I couldn't make because I've got my own training commitments and whatnot. But Westie versus Cessnock. Physicality, I think, is going to be the word of the day. It's a trial match, but it's going to be fiercely contested. Two teams that I don't think they like each other, but no one really does in the New FM League, and I think that's the competition is what I want to see there. It's only a trial, but it's a chance for Westie and Cessnock to say, this is what we're doing this year, it's better than last year, jump on board. It's a chance to set the bar. Bell Swans versus Cahaiba, another quality match. I'll be attending out there at Blacksmith's Oval, almost forgot the name there. I spoke to one of the Bell Swans guys, and I think this game's going to be on. Rain, hail, shine, or snowmageddon. For anyone watching from America, I don't think there is. Bell Swans versus Kahaiba. Another chance to see both these teams in action. Cooks Hill are going to Port Macquarie. I had a bit of a training session tonight in there next to the first grade guys. I spoke to Blake Gleaney, the head coach. They're going up to Port Macquarie to verse Port Macquarie FC. A bonding chance for Cooks Hill. There's a lot of new guys there, and it's a chance to get to know each other a bit more off the field and just have some fun up there. They've also got trial matches coming up against the Newcastle Suns, and then 2 massive games against Edgeworth and Western. Cooks Hill versus NPL clubs. It's a chance for the Cookers to say, this is what we're all about. Wallsend versus Berkeley Vale. If this is still on, I'm not quite sure. It's down there at Mingara. Google Maps will help you on that one, for those people who aren't sure where that is. I don't know anything about Berkeley Vale Football Club. I think they're one of the bigger clubs in Gosford, the Gosford region from what I've seen. It's a chance for Wallsend again. I think... Oh no, they're not staying the night. I've got that mixed up with Kahaiba going down to play a Central Coast side. But a chance for Wallsend to just a bit of a day trip maybe, and some team bonding and a game. Why not? Finally, Toronto versus Beresfield. It is that FFA Cup preview, and it's hard to call. It's really hard to call. Beresfield, strong team. I watched them win the grand final last year. I think they can knock Toronto off, and that's in the FFA Cup. The trial is probably not as important, but I think Beresfield FC, or Beresfield United, I should say, a very strong team. Last week, some trial matches. Cooks Hill versus, I'm doing this off the top of my head, so I apologise if I make mistakes. Cooks Hill versus Fortin in the 19s on Tuesday night. Finished 2-1 to Cooks Hill with a fill-in in goals, a few players out. Goal scorers, Jackson Graham got one of the goals for Cooks Hill, and the other... again, I don't have it on hand. I apologise for not having that, but maybe put it on the website or something. But yes, 2 goals for Cooks Hill, 1 for Fortin. A big win for Cooks Hill with some of the 17s filling in for the 19s. And a good start to the season for Giles Boyd and his team. I think they're going to be pretty hard to beat in the 19s. I think they're going to be up there. First grade, Cooks Hill versus Fortin finished 2-2. I spoke to the coach tonight about it. They had 6 regular starters out, the Cookers, including the goalkeeper Kaya Ruff. They had Luke Alexander out, Matt Williams out, a couple of others that are probably 5 out of the 6 first team maybe. Tough to play without them, but 2-2 draw. I believe the goalkeeper got injured, the 23s keeper, and Giles Boyd had to fill in. I would have liked to have seen that. I think Giles in goals might have had potential there, but yeah, a 2-2 draw with Fortin. It's a good hit out. It's a good start to the season. It's nothing too crazy just yet. It's not. You don't have to think we should have won. We should have. It's a draw. You move on, get your players back, see how you go. Last but not least, I'll try and get it up on the screen at the moment. We're going to go through the Wallsend under-17s team that got messaged to me by their coach, Craig. Very thankful for that. We'll have some more squad lists as they come through from the trials and whatnot. Wallsend already sent me the under-19s team, one of the players there, but the 17s team, looking at it, it's a few players from last year's team still in there, but a couple new guys, and it's an untested squad, and it's a squad that I think probably be a pacey squad. I think they're going to be up there again in the 17s and the 19s for that matter. Most grades really. Wallsend, a very strong club. The names are up on the screen. There's a few there from last year. Some of last year's younger players. But yeah, most of their team from last year is playing 19s now, so it's good to see the team lineups, and it's hard to sort of say anything until you see these guys play, especially in the lower grades. It's pretty hard to call, but that's what we got so far, and there's still a lot of trials coming up. Lake Macquarie City have a lot of trial matches, midweek trials against Western and Hamilton maybe. All those are up on Newysports. Lake Macquarie versus Lambton next Thursday. Not next Thursday, but Thursday after. So there's some big games coming, a big test for these new FM squads, and I'm not going to hide it. I do all this work for the new FM division. I don't do it, a lot of it, for the NPL. I do a bit of NPL stuff, but new FM is what I pride myself on. It's the league I like to follow, and I'd be very, very happy to see any of the new FM teams get past an NPL team in trials and maybe even in the FFA Cup. I think the gap is closing. It's those top NPL teams, Hamilton, Broadmeadow, Edgeworth, Lambton, Western even, they're up there. But, with all due respect to the likes of Charlestown and Valentine, even Maitland maybe you can chuck in there, they're not too far ahead. And I think teams like Lake Macquarie, South Cardiff, Wallsend, and even an outside chance for Cooks Hill and maybe even Cahaba aren't that far behind. But we'll wait and see what happens this season. I'm very excited. Last but not least, new camera here. Going to be taking some photos, I hope, of a lot of games this year. If anyone out there is a photographer, I've already spoken to one, but even an amateur photographer who knows how to explain this stuff to me, then feel free to come up to me at a game and give me some pointers, because at the moment I'm shooting blindly, I guess you could say, but this camera is very, very good. I didn't leave the house the other day and I took some great photos of trees 3 or 4 blocks away with the zoom lens. It's a very good camera, and I'm looking forward to getting some photos this year, sharing them with the clubs. The clubs can share them with the players. That works, that's great. So we won't have a show this Friday night, so if I see you at the trials this week, I'll see you there. If not, if you're at a different trial match, good luck. If you're not at any trial matches, and have a good weekend, and we'll be back next week, Monday, at this stage probably Monday 8:30. Don't quote me on that, please, but we'll be back next week some stage with highlights, well, not highlights, but reviews, interviews, photos and whatnot from this weekend's trials. West Wallsend versus Cessnock City, Bell Swans versus Cahaba. I don't have a teleprompter here, so Bell Swans versus Cahaba, all that and more next week on Newysports TV. I'll see you then.